Hello, this is Danny Gamble. It's been a long time, but I've been getting a little bit hounded, but it's been a long time. So, obviously, I kind of speak from the heart, and I do these one long takes, and most of you never see them, and that's fine, and most of you turn it off. To the couple that always take advantage of it, remember, I have to pay bills too, so don't forget me, and I can do more if I'm paying my bills, and I don't have to go scramble for money every month. Little joke, little tongue in cheek, but partially true too. Or else I wouldn't have said it. So, anyways, yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and a lot of time gone by since I last commented on the world situations. I haven't changed. I'm still a boring person that follows politics, but God knows it's kind of the most interesting thing going these days, isn't it? Um, no, I don't think I've been on since Trump won, and I normally I'd say congratulations, but to the party, fine, congratulations to the party, but I still think I can't help myself, but I still think he's the wrong person for the world, for your country, now for my country, because I'll be getting into that. But I imagine Mexico, um, Panama, Greenland, and Canada. I imagine we're all going, what, WTF? Like, what's going on here? And and yeah, I spoke about some stuff earlier on other tapes, and go find me if you want to. I don't think they delete them, but they're probably not high priority. Just look for my face, and you'll know you're dealing with me. Um, and then you can watch, because it would. I had a joke made to me, and made me, it was a joke, and it was meant as a joke, but I was like, what's that person that's on uh, the Matrix, kind of the lady that can kind of see the future. you know, I simply gather information from a lot of different sites, like most people. Not like most people actually. I wish it was most people. I tend to search out articles from Europe, from India, from Australia, from Canada, from America, from South America, Mexico, and I do that because it's really hard to believe anything you hear anymore. And even then, I hear so many different things on a particular topic that I have to try to put together what, in my mind, is probably the most correct. I'm not saying it is correct. I'm just saying I do my own evidence gathering, and then with that information, I try to say, well, what if? I still don't say this is, because I don't believe anyone should be saying stuff is these days. There's just too much phoniness out there. You know what? I'm gonna take a drink of beer, my first one of the day, and it is it's something in the afternoon, so it's not terrible. It's a little before happy hour. Hard to do these videos though when your mouth isn't working. And as you might know from my other tapes, I live alone now, so I have been for a while. So I don't think I communicate as much as I used to, which is obviously not good, but really not good for the mouth. I don't get my practice in. All right, so Trump's gotten in power, and I feel bad for the people that voted for him, in that they were told that he was going to focus in on things like cost of eggs is one of the big things he always brought up in his election, and from what he's doing with tariffs and stuff towards the world, including us, we're going to be hit with, well, people say, oh, he's just threatening to negotiate, but hey, come on, guys, how many years are you going to deal with this guy where he says something and eventually he does exactly that, or even further? So he's saying 25% tariffs on us, on Mexico, another 10 on China, but I don't know what China's already at, so I don't know if that puts them past the 25 or not. Someone can let me know that. So I mean, it's just huge amounts. So then we threaten back, which is partly where I think he wants this. He wants to have a reason to be pissed at us, because he's talking about that fake line. We just, Canada and U.S. would be great together, and we're going to invade Panama and take the canal, and we're going to invade a Greenland if they don't just sign it over to us. F you Denmark, even though you're part of, we've got treaties with you and you're part of the NATO with us, but oh, the hell with that. Like, I don't think there's ever been in history such a variance between one party and the next in the direction they were going to take your country, America. I mean, Trump seems to be, and has been, buddies with people like Kim from North Korea, with Putin from Russia, with whatever the guy's name is, the other guy, not Turkey, the other place, Hungary, I think it is, whatever his name is. He's been really, following along with them and sort of letting them know that, he supports them and they support him. And it looks like Putin for years now has bankrolled Trump and basically has him on a leash, right? And Putin's not the kind of guy that Trump would want to mess with, in that, Putin has no problems sending out hit people around the world. Ask England about it. He's putting nuclear substance on doorknobs, for God's sakes, in their country. And Valdi, or whatever his name was, he looked like he would have been a great leader for Russia. He puts him in prison when he comes home, and then he's dead. So so Trump's got himself to worry about, which he worries about, number one, but he's also got his kids and his family and grandchildren and stuff, and don't put it past Putin to have threatened him on all those if he doesn't toe the line with all the money and the direction that Putin wants to go. So Putin's trying to take Ukraine, and it looks like, if now that Trump's in charge, it looks like you'll have a good chance of doing it. But if Biden had been in charge, he wouldn't have had a good chance. So, and NATO would be strong with Biden in charge, but not strong with Trump in charge. So, drastically changing from one way of looking at the world to another way. And I'm not an authority to know which one's the correct one, although I do lean towards what's already established. And the reason I do that is, well, we're part of NATO too, and how many wars have we gone to? We were in Iraq with America for their sake. We were in Afghanistan for their sake. We were part of Libya's attacking of Gaddafi. We were part of the Syria. We were part of the Egyptian the weekend or whatever they had, where they tried to uprise. We've been there for them. We are their number one trading partner, and he basically is saying, "F you now, because I'm looking at your country and I got a big army, and I think I want your country and all its resources. That'll make me richer, and I can continue to make billions and give my fellow billionaires more billions, and now I'll have assets to pay it off with." It's because I think he's looking at Greenland for their minerals, for their rare earths, us for our rare earths, us for our hydro, us for our water, us for our oil, us for our timber. He's looking at us totally as a total resource place that, they can't really defend themselves from us. He uses this bogus thing about, we don't really need them, but they need us. Well, we have established a huge relationship because we do have this long border. It's really easy for different provinces to cross into states, different states to cross into our country. And he says, well, yeah, but you don't buy as much back from us. Well, I actually heard someone say something stupid today. It's like, you don't have the products we want. No, it's not even that, guys. It's simply like, take our population of around 40 million and take theirs, which is, I wish I had a Google right now, 300 plus million, 350 plus million. So we're like 4 into 35 is, say, 12. So we're like 12 times smaller. So now take the amount of money that of values that we import to what we export, but change it by 12. So what we import by them per person, right? Divide it by 12. What they import for us, times it by 12. And all of a sudden you're going to go, holy shit, actually per person, they're importing more in dollar value, So for whatever reason, I don't know why the math guys, I haven't heard it. I keep waiting to hear it. Keep waiting for someone, accountant, a professional, knows what they're saying and actually does the Googling and does the numbers correctly to go, well, actually, no, per Canadian, They actually there's more coming in than there is going to the States. And then what? We can go after them on that? Oh, they wouldn't allow that. They say, oh, no, 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 that's not the same. It's not the same. But apples to apples is apples to apples right now. The way they're comparing it, it's like we're supposed to have dollar for dollar. We're supposed to import as much when we have less people to buy it and to use it than they do by 12, by times 12 or whatever it is, times 10, whatever it is. So, so it's a very, it's poor that we don't ever point those things out, actually, that we don't go, wait a minute, there's something about this doesn't make sense. If I live in a house, we get it really down to numbers. Say I live, like I do by myself, one, and then say across the street there's a house and they have 12 in it. The 12 are going to want more stuff. They're going to need more stuff just to feed the 12, to clothe the 12, to heat the bills, the bedrooms, everything. They're going to need 12 times what I need, in theory. So if I have something to sell them, they're going to want it by 12. If they have something to sell me, I'm still only going to want it by 1. I don't need, 12 beds. They need 12 beds. So there's so much manipulation, and yet some people are better at just stating their point of view, like he does. Oh, it's a deficit. We're supporting. They wouldn't survive without us. Bullshit. We wouldn't. What would happen is we might have a couple tough years because we've structured ourselves to do everything with you. But I guarantee you, countries like China, which is what Mexico's already doing, as you've seen, they're going to say, hey, don't worry, we got you covered. We'll buy your canola, or we'll buy your one. If it's going to hurt America, our major competition, we got you covered, right? That's what will happen. And then all America will go, what are you doing selling to them for? Well, because you bitched about us selling to you and we were already giving you it at a reduced price. One reason was it was easy to get to you. The other thing was that we had this kind of kumbaya relationship where you looked after us and we looked after you. The border was there, but we were also crossing over with trade and looking after your people, and you look after our people. And now you're saying, no, Canadians, you gotta buy us, you gotta buy more, be more. And in regards to that, our dollar is worth so much less than yours that our people actually are already living for less. Someone making $15 at McDonald's in your country, in American dollars, and making $15 in Canada, it's 60 cents less. So really, if they were in the States, they'd be making about $9. How many of them would keep working at $9? We do. So we're already putting out 30 to 40% more effort or more energy or working more hours to have the standard you have. And then if you want to keep going with that, your homes are still cheaper. So, and that's a major cost for most people, is homes and food and stuff. Your food's actually still cheaper. Your gas is still cheaper. So that 60 cents on the dollar is really more like 40 or 30 cents. So, you're trying to turn Canada into slave people. So eventually I hope Canadians, if America can't wake up, or the ones that are, it was 49% to 48% in their vote. So it was very close. It was a 1% swing. Just they got that stupid college thing where they have a bias edge towards the red states, which is stupid. Democrats never should have allowed it, but that's the Democrats' problem, is they constantly allow stuff, and we'll get into the court stuff that just happened, where they again say, well, the rule of law, if they play by the rule of law, but they're not playing by it. It's in many of my tapes. Charlie Brown and Lucy, you're playing against Lucy and you're being Charlie Brown. And you just keep swinging for that football and she keeps moving it away. And you guys just keep doing it and going, yeah, but we're in the right. Well, when you do that, you make the people around you that support you go, come on, man, I get this is where it should be. And if we get control of things, maybe we could try to get it back that way to a fairness of rule of law, and fairness and less racism, less sexism, and all this stuff. But this is where they're at, and we're letting them rule the day by, playing ping pong. We hit it, they hit it, we hit it, they hit it, and they're playing smash mouth football. And yes, I had that on one of my other tapes too. But that's what's happening. Is they're not playing by the rules, and I just watched, actually, this was a sidetrack. I didn't expect this one to come out of my head. I watched the other night a movie about the number one war hero in the Second World War against the Nazis from Norwegian. He was a Norwegian man. And, the whole movie was about the actual man talking to a crowd, and then they go back and, the movie is being made. So it was like going over to the movie of what he did, and then coming back to his narration, and then back to the movie. It was really, really well done. And he's the number one ever times, for winning awards in this country for the war. And I had a little girl that was questioning him on it, and another guy actually questioned him too, kids in the crowd, and they want to know if he had actually killed people or if he'd given them, an option or whatever. And him having to tightrope that with the promises he had made to people at the time that they were doing what they had to do to survive, and that they would never speak about it. They would go to their grave with him. So he was honoring the person that they made that promise with, who had passed. And basically trying to explain to this child, without getting into specifics, that there sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And he said, I wish you never experienced this and never understand where I'm coming from. But he was doing information at first, and then eventually he was going into doing some sabotages, which involved hits on some of the leaders, especially the leaders that were Norwegian, that had crossed over and were working with the Nazis as Nazis. So they were literally turning in their own fellow people so that they could be part of the Nazi thing, so that they could rise above the war and have a good quality of life in the war, and have power and control over their own people and their own villages. And these are the people they started to take out, assassinate. So that was very interesting. And so, like, when I listened to the Democrats talk of the GOP, just like everything in those two parties is so far apart, well, they're apart this way too. GOP doesn't care about rule of law. They don't care about, having corrupt judges and stuff. They don't care. It's like, well, we got it, what are you going to do about it? And the other guys are like, well, no, we're going to appoint good people, and they're going to rule accordingly. And so they're getting killed. They're getting, they're being whitewashed on anything that's a real rule of law thing. Like Supreme Court, I've gone into that in other tapes too, where they're corrupt people in there. Like, they're corrupt. They're terrible. They're taking bribes, been caught taking bribes, but they have their little system set up where they're in there for life, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's basically, I'll do what I want. And so those people are controlling at 49 to 48. And remember, last time Biden won, so it's like, it's only 4 years ago that the other guys had the higher average. So half their population, seems like more decent people, but maybe too decent. And half their population seems like a little bit on the greedy side, and let's get ours, and to get ours we might need to put them down. And now Trump's in power, and what's he going to do? He'll look at Canada, say, I don't know, maybe we should take that. And even though we've literally died on battlefields with them. During 9/11, we took in people, we had planes landing, and people in their own homes were feeding people, Americans in their own homes. Like, right now, I had the fires in LA. What are Canadians doing? Even with all this going on, they're sending down, firemen and fire trucks and planes, that scoop up the water and drop it on. They're out there literally saving the lives of Americans, while at the same time, America is talking about taking over our country and making it the 51st state. And I'm not over-exaggerating, those are his exact words. Canada should be the 51st state. Standing there with a flag in front of the wrong set of mountains, because geography is not a strong point of America. He's got the Himalayas there or something, someone from Europe. The Matterhorn, I think it was. It's like, what the... So he's threatening us, and why do we get threatened? Like, we're one of the best countries in the world for getting along with people and trying to support and do the right thing. And here's a greedy guy going, Canada's a big country, they can't really defend themselves. 40 million people spread across second biggest country in the world, and they don't really have an army or whatever. they keep paying for that in other ways, like dollars on the 60 cents on the dollar, and like we do a lot, provide the hydro for New York area. We got all kinds of water that we share, and it's like oil. Apparently, we ship a lot of oil. I didn't even know how much we shipped out there. Apparently, we're a big source of the oil energy as well in the States. Um, and they're insulting us. It's like, if it's just the might gets it, then there was no reason for Ukraine to have given up their nukes, because that's why Russia's able to invade them now. They gave it up because they didn't want to be part of Russia anymore, and Russia said, well, you're not staying there with nukes in your country right beside us. So they said, okay, we'll give it up. And so they gave it up. And now what's happening? Oh, well. And if Biden had won, as I said a few minutes ago here, they'd be fine. He would keep supporting him, so would NATO. America would support NATO, and NATO would support Ukraine, and eventually, hopefully, Putin would see the light and say, well, I tried to steal a country, but it didn't work out. But now he's got Trump, and it looks like China. I'm going to go a little side trip now to something else. BRICS. How many of you heard of BRICS? You should have. It's out there. It's been out there for a while, but especially recently, because there's a bunch of new countries have joined BRICS, and it's basically like the IMF, International Monetary Fund, that U.S. has major control of, and most of the countries were part of. But now their BRICS is formed, and it's basically to go against the IMF. It's to say we don't want the American dollar as controlling us anymore. We'll, I imagine they'll end up heading to the yen, the Chinese dollar, but I don't know. I imagine they're back in their currency in gold right now, which seems to be a good way to go still. After all these years, people still have to run to gold when there's problems around the world. Some people are buying up gold, actual gold assets, gold bars and stuff. So BRICS is the big one, because that's, it's going to separate even more the world power, and it involves countries like China, Russia, some of the things like Syria, probably that Hungary. I don't know if they're in there, but I don't know all the right ones. I know there's like Zimbabwe, South Africa, for that part of the world, and Brazil over in South America. So like, there's just some major players that have said, it's never really benefited us with America. So being in control, let's try something else. And I just don't understand. I'm saying this in a silly way. I do kind of understand, but I'm saying it's for the conversation of it. I don't understand why, after years and years go by, that we can't figure out ways to get closer as a planet. We're at a stage right now where we're separating again even more than we have been separated, to the point where, people talk world wars, people talking about releasing nukes, people talk about taking over this country, that country. Like Denmark, Greenland, which are, affiliated, they're now being, really seriously threatened by America. Like, what do you do in America? And right now someone's saying, so's Canada. Yeah, I heard the conversation, and you can't trust anything he says anyways, but the most recent conversation I heard, where he was being interviewed, he was like, well, I wouldn't rule out using military for Panama and Greenland. And then they asked him, would you use military for Canada? He said in that line, oh no, I would use economic pressures and stuff like that. But I mean, that could easily change tomorrow, right? He changes all the time. Seagull in the background. I live right off the ocean. So I get very frustrated, and then I'm going to do a Donald thing here. This is for Donald, if someone gets it to him or not, or I doubt they will, but maybe someone will hear that there was some Canadian talking about this, and maybe I can talk about it because I'm not an American, where he can throw me in jail if he doesn't like me, or the other side, where I'm so for him he can give me a promotion even though I don't deserve it, because I'm simply just kissing his butt to get to move up in life. he always talks of that kind of people are saying, trying to remove himself from saying stuff that usually, quite often, he's brought up himself. I'm not bringing up as myself, but I am bringing this up as a thought that's out there. It was spoken about around Christmas time. And so, first off, to protect myself here, I'm a nobody. I'm an old guy. Donald, I don't even own a gun. I don't even have a sharp knife in my kitchen. And I can't afford to get on a plane. So you're always going to be safe from a guy like me. But people say that sometimes you have to cut off the head of the snake. And right now everyone's like, oh, you can't say that. Why not? It's not like it's not thought of by other people. It absolutely is. As much as he thinks of hurting or harming other people around the world, obviously people are thinking of hurting and harming him. And that's probably why he kisses Putin's butt, is that they've got some agreement going and he's had some money transitions, and Putin's put the finger down on him saying, yeah, you better, toe the line or else you know who I am, and I'll find you, or I'll have someone find you, right? And that's probably why he's so, in trouble. Also, it might be why Elon is now part of his, more than his entourage. He's kind of like directing. I think Elon said, hey, you're in trouble with him. Don't worry about it. I got you covered, but you got to look after me. And he's almost doubled his wealth since he's been with Trump, right? So it's paid off for Elon. And for Putin, it would be like, oh, shit, hang on. Trump was vulnerable because I got, videos and P videos and stuff like this, and whatever else he has on him, plus, all the money I've lent him, or, he has them. And it's pretty obvious that he has them. That's why he was trying to hold those secret tape, or all the information he took from the White House last time that he didn't want to return, is because he was, selling it off and giving Putin what Putin needed to know who was in his backyard, right? So sadly, a lot of people probably have died that we don't even know about because of Trump. Like he's literally, turned on his own people in the old spy network. So, having Elon say, hey, don't worry, and Putin go, oh shit, Elon, and he's got all those satellites and things, and you don't know what's in some of those satellites, right? And he's got a lot of money, so, he's probably made Putin have to back off a little bit of threatening Trump behind the scenes. And Trump needs to keep him as a result for that reason. So you get a lot of Elon's ideas being pushed forward. So I lost my train of thought there a little bit when I went off on Elon. Okay, but I may have to make a pause then. I can't remember what I was going to talk about. You just sip a beer or help me 1 second here. This is one of those music should play. A little time out here. So there's this conquering the world stuff that's going on. Spend more money on arms and desert your people that you've supported for years and that have supported you for years. America, this is how you're seen right now. You're so unreliable. I mentioned a long time ago too, I think 2 or 3 tapes ago, and I haven't done a tape in months, probably a year or so ago, about, it blurted out in someone like the little way I said it, but it was just blurred out like this is. And it was along the lines of, trust you, like you can't trust you. And it's really like that right now. You guys cannot trust you. You got people on your bias pointing out the laws all the time, but they're pointing it out as lawyers. They can't help themselves. That they have a total belief in the rule of law because that's who they are. That's their job. And so unfortunately, when they're filtering and going through this stuff, it always comes across, a little smug. We got them here, we got them there, like it's a big win, but it means nothing because they just roll over it. They don't care. They're not going to follow the rule of law. So, as a society, and as for the world, it sucks that you guys have, allowed your Supreme Court to be corrupt. You've allowed your president to be corrupt. You've allowed your House to be corrupt. You've allowed your Senate to be corrupt, your judges to be corrupt, and then you want the regular people to adhere to it because, basically with them they say, well, you're better to take the small fine or the big one because we're going to come down on you hard. Because coming down on a small guy hard doesn't cost you guys a lot of money or time or energy, and you can push it your way anyways. So, you're going to win those cases, but the big cases you can't win because the guys have money and they'll just keep delaying and delaying and delaying, and you know that going in that you're not going to, and then you might be getting bought off, you might be getting threatened. If it's a jury trial, the jury might get threatened. So you've allowed your system to be rolled over and made so corrupt that there is no belief. I mean, I was watching some pretty senior people on TV today going, the rule of law, it's there is more in the two tier. There's almost a three tier. There's a Donald Trump tier, and then there's a second tier where if you're wealthy, Donald can either cover you by giving you an amnesty, a pardon, or you can just buy your way out of it eventually. And then all the other guys that are just doing their job and they're the little guys, oh well, you have to go to jail. I mean, we got to have rule of law. We want to look like we want to project that we're fair. So what's the most recent one? It was a 5-4 vote by the Supreme to allow a reading of, he's on the 34 counts of falsifying business records in New York. And he goes, so they go to the Supreme Court and let him know before they do the ruling, before he dictates what he's already lost the case, but before they bring down the verdict of what the charges are going to be and stuff. If any time served or fines or whatever, community service. And they said to him, "Don't worry, we're not going to do anything. You're going to get everything off because he's going to be president in 10 days. So don't worry. We're just we want to do this." Basically, they want to look like they were upholding the law for the sake of keeping the majority of people from turning on him or throwing their hands up and saying, "Why should we obey the law anymore? You guys don't." So anyways, they got a 5-4. They got a couple of them to swing over. The guy that runs the show there and Amy Coney Barrett, I think that's how you say her name. So they came over on it, but only and they actually stated in the 5 that went against it, or the 4 that went against it, and the 5 that went for it, all said basically, well, because we know there's going to be no real penalties, we'll allow you to do your reading. So he does his reading on Friday, and says, okay, basically you were a bad boy, but we're not going to penalize you at all. Don't worry. And then he leaves the court spewing off again, saying, "Oh, this is wrong. It was a witch hunt. Blah 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 blah. Should never happen to me." And he's the only guy in history of New York that's not had, at least the very very minimum done to him for basically screwing the tax man out of lots of dollars by lying on his business records. His lawyer, whatever the guy's name is, went to jail over this. He's already served his term. It's I don't know. It bugs me so much that just by that 1% one way or the other, and that college thing where they can basically rig it. It is rigged actually, where you can have. I did this one a long time ago, but I knew the numbers then. I think it was like Hillary won by 3 million, but she lost it because of this college thing. Before that, when Biden came along, he won by 7 million and only won by the same amount on the college thing that Trump won by with 3 million. So it was like 4 million. It took 4 million more votes for Democrats to win by the same amount that Trump won by winning with 3 million more than took 7 million more for Biden to win by the same amount that Trump won with 3 million less votes than Hillary did. It's like, how can that be right? Like, it's so bad, and and they're calling it a mandate, and Yeah, that's not a mandate. 1% isn't a mandate. Biden won by 3 or 4%. It wasn't a mandate for him either. So come on. Um, but this is what GOP does. They don't care about facts. Fuck facts, as far as they're concerned. Sorry, I swore, but it's my own tape, so hopefully it'll go through. They just don't care, and sadly, it looks like a lot of America, half the country Americans don't care. So I gotta say the other half, when you're in a fight, when you're in a fist fight, use your fist. When you're in a knife fight, use a knife. When you're in a gun fight, use a gun. Stop trying to wait for them to reprimand themselves or to do the right thing, because you feel that's what you would do in their position, and it looks like you would, but they're not you. That's why they're in that party. That party is about greed and us versus you and racism and immigration and their rule of law and women's rights. Like they just, there was a children cancer program or something that they had taken out of the budget. Like, it's crazy, and they're going to come after your medical and because they want more. They want to have those tax write-offs for the rich, and they got to pay for it somehow. So it's like, oh well, middle class can pay some more, can't they? Can't we squeeze some more of them into a house and more of them into that same eating that same bowl of porridge? Like, can't we just tighten them up some more? I have a video I did a couple years ago now, probably 2-3 years ago, about greed is a disease, and go back and find that one, because to me that is probably so truthful and yet so it's just blown over or never discussed really or talked in depth about. We all go after the people that are drug addicted and the people that are alcohol addicts and food and sex offenders or sexaholics and yet people that are so greedy that they're not going to correct themselves. They can't understand that the more they're taking out of the system and away from people, the low end, they're starving as a result. They're turned off living, they're turned off working, they're turned off caring. It's happening in countries like Japan, where they're calling it "let it rot" or whatever their terminology is, where they just what's the point? And you look at children around Canada and America, and they can't afford a home. They can't afford to get married really and have children. Like, they're all piling into homes just to get by. And then we're going, oh yeah, they don't try hard, they don't work like we did. No, we got to be honest about this. I had a grocery job and was able to buy a house and have a car and get married, and my wife worked or didn't work depending on if she wanted to, and also when we started having children, whether she was able to or not. She'd rather be at home than us paying for someone to look after the kids, because the money difference was about the same anyways. So, but we were able to survive. We were able to grow. And now the kids can't do that. This is not possible. They can't even pay off the student loans. So it's not the same. It's not apples and apples anymore. It is apples and watermelons. And a lot of that comes from if you keep taking the money out and not putting it back in, because the money that sits in these pretty bank accounts isn't being used for bridges and highways and teachers' wages going up, and all those things that the society needs. Universities being at a better price and more kids being able to go to them because they're subsidized to get through there at a reasonable amount where they don't have to pay for the rest of their life. They got these degrees that they're not even able to use, or something that you can focus on better. So we're letting that all just go into pretty bank accounts. And in my video, I believe I know I did. I discussed, like, I don't think they realize. Do you want to be behind all these walls? Like, I mean, how much of a thrill is it to have people scrounging around you, bowing to you basically, picking up your poop like like everyone picks up dog poop now. Like, basically cleaning up after you all the time and all that. Oh, that's so great to have that. Is it so great? Is it great to drive down a street where everyone else on the street is not doing well? Where your children go out to play with the neighborhood kids and they don't want to play with your kids because your kids are, snobs and babies and, spoiled brats compared to them. And, the kids coming out with food and drinks and they haven't had any food all day. Like, there is that extremes going on. It's night and day. And there's way too much night for a few people to have their beautiful shiny days. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not. All right, I'm going to stop this one and I'm going to listen to it and bore myself, and then I'm going to decide whether I load it up or not. Today is my glasses. Some glasses here. 1 second. Today is 2025 January the 11th. So I wish everyone a good 2025. I hope the fire situation is taken care of properly. I think there was another thing said to me that I could add into this, I guess, is that Trump apparently only wants to support red states that voted for him. And what I would say to that then is, hey, California, you make more money than anybody and pay any more taxes than anybody. You start holding back federal funding to help you guys with your forest fires, then maybe you don't do your sending your money. You block your money going to the federal, and they can see you in courts over it. Because it's not like there hasn't been hurricanes where Florida got supported and all up the coast, and it's not like there's not a lot of trailers during the tornado alley getting swept away every single year that are also supported by federal income, which comes again a larger proportion from the states that are making money, like California, which is like the fifth biggest economy in the world. Is just your state of California. But Washington is really good. That's where you have Microsoft and stuff like that. Like, and Oregon does well too. And so it's like you're going to withhold funds that we actually send to you, and you're not going to send them back to help our people to disperse the tax dollars where it's necessary at the time of these calamities that are happening all around the world. But definitely America's getting slaughtered by some of them. So that might be a suggestion. Just say, oh, is that what you're going to do? Well, then. And then I loved the Green Party lady from BC here, but Green Party for Canada, Elizabeth May. She, I love if you haven't seen it, you got to go find that tape where she goes at, hey, Donald, I got a deal for you. Because there was this thing about Cascadia where it's like BC and Washington, Oregon, California getting together because, we're just all along the coast here, and we could support each other in ways. And so she was like, you're gonna come after Canada. Well, maybe we don't want to be part of you, but maybe these states want to be part of us, especially if you're gonna go ahead and take their money and then not even support them when they're going through a tragedy. And he hasn't been supporting them. He's been going after the Newsom guy, calling him new scum and stuff like that. He's just a child. And while he's calling them names and basically, putting them down, trying to put the blame of a forest fire on a governor of a state, it's like, what is wrong with you, man? Like, that's sick. It's very sick. Yes, you guys got the Santa Maria winds. You have these winds every year, anyways, and they're blowing harder than ever. And you've had a drought for longer than ever, and so you're getting fires bigger than ever. Someone told me that they might be the biggest in history, so I don't know if that's true or not. So anyways, but I wouldn't be surprised. And definitely from the devastations I've seen on videos, it's so sad. I feel so bad for everyone, and there's been some loss of lives too, so I'm very sorry obviously for the loss of lives, but also for all the family members of those people. Homes can be replaced, but it looks like there's a hell of a lot of homes to be replaced. So like, what are you doing? Like, somebody, oh, I was going to go back right to the very, very beginning. Oh, God, I forgot this right from the beginning. So, when I was talking about, people say, Donald, remember, people say, can you go back that far? It's been a while, about 30, 40 minutes ago. So, like, I get it. Canada doesn't have the arms and doesn't put the money in it, but let's be honest, America puts in, um, combined the next 28 total or something in the world of countries for their army. Like that they're using that as their way of spreading out and controlling a lot of areas. And something like, I don't know, 27, 26 of them are actually NATO members. So, they got this army that's ready to fight everyone, but most of them are already in partnership with them. So, you're only talking like maybe China and Russia and I don't know, maybe Iran. You're not talking too many other countries that aren't actually under your umbrella already. Um, so, um, so the thing I heard at a party not a party, a Christmas celebration kind of thing, gathering around Boxing Day, I guess it was, and it was like, oh, you know what? Like, we still can afford. Here, Donald, get mad. We still can afford one bullet. And, we got some good hunters up here. Like, we're actually quite known around the world. We have some pretty good snipers, right? If you ever watched the old movie Shooter, right? It doesn't take much to take that head of the snake off, and then what happens? And for Donald's sake, Donald, smarten up, because maybe they can't get to you. You're going to be president. You're going to be well guarded, but then all of a sudden you're putting all your children at risk, which is wrong. Nobody should hurt children. I don't agree with that one at all. But it happens. It always happens because people get so frustrated that they go onto a golf course, or they go onto a building where they can't even shoot straight, and those were GOPers. Those were people that were members of your party. You imagine if the members of other parties have enough, because they have army guys too, right? There's no way that all the army guys are just GOPers. And even if they are, and even if some of them are GOPers, right now they're pissed off at you too. MAG is pissed off at you right now, for bringing in Elon and his attitude, because you hide it better than Elon does. Elon just says it. Vivit, whatever his name is, he just says it. Like, oh well, let's bring in some Indian people or people from India with whatever that clause is that they can have it, because they're better educated and smarter and they're not as lazy workers. So, like, you got problems within your own party where that might cause someone to rise up and go, hey, this isn't what I voted for. Because you got some nasty rednecks down there that they're not afraid to take law into their own hands, and your rule of law is kind of becoming for the country a joke. So it might not be from a Democrat. I mean, you've been trying to nail these last two as being Democrats, and they weren't. You tried to nail those last two, the bombing in front of your hotel with Elon's truck car, and the other one, wherever the other one was. And both of those he tried to blame on immigrants, but they both turned out to be soldiers, American citizens, born, raised, and had been in the services. So, like, and even then he tried to spin it, but there are still people from other, yeah, but you brought it up accusing these people from other countries before you even knew. And then when you found out, you didn't go, oh, well, it looks like it was actually our own boys. It was like, yeah, but there's still those guys around. They're around too. They might do it too. Oh, America. We've been your best friends for how long now? And, we're always there for you, and your payback is to put a rich, greedy bastard in there that looks up at our country and goes, oh, we got 40 million people and not a big army. Maybe we should just take it. Like, that globalist attitude is what put the whole world in peril for eons. And we finally said, let's just draw the lines of these countries and everyone stay out of each other country. You can do, trade and try to get them that way if you want to, if you're that kind of mentality, where it's, not win-win. It's got to be a win-lose. If you're that kind of a country or a person like Trump is, has to be a win-lose with him. But to physically want to take the country is the whole idea of saying no more to this. Let's just draw lines and stop killing all our youth, because too often it's the healthiest, most economical generations that get slaughtered out. It's your 18-year-olds to 35-year-olds that are the majority of the people that fight in these wars and die in these wars. And then all of a sudden you got some really young ones that don't have mentors and families, and their families are broken because their parents are dead or one of the parents is dead. And you got older people that have, probably not going to be able to have more children. So you end up having a big gap in your population as well for productivity and for, keeping the country running. So all around it's a lose-lose. And yet that seems to be where we're headed again. Well, but with Russia and Ukraine, we're already there. And then Israel and Hamas and Palestinians and that whole issue going on there. And Iran's starting to get involved, of course, and Syria's involved, of course. And it's just such a stupid waste of humans. And you think we could progress, but we can't unless there's more people that want to progress. Like, let's put our energy into, maybe cleaning the skies up and increasing our oxygen level, getting rid of all the debris we get up there and sending it off. I have some theories on what we could do with that, but big deal, they're just theories, and maybe somebody can make them a reality or improve on them or whatever. But I don't see why we're not focusing our energies in things like that, and food and water and and homes, like places to live. Why aren't we not figuring that out and getting along? I don't know. But hey, you got a pretty gold building and a golf course that you cheat on. Okay, all the best, Danny Gamble. Take care. Bye-bye.